We're talking a little bit about dynamics again. When you get into some of these complicated structures, and especially when you're bringing in models from graphical user interfaces where there's information that is not necessarily structural from the way we think about it. For instance, when we model stuff for doing the analysis or design of a structure, we try and model everything that is major. One of the things that is very commonly, and when you start looking into dynamics, you see this very, very often, that people all of a sudden have found out, 1 million equations, 3 seconds, great, I'm going to put everything in there. They'll start modeling everything in the structure. Every opening, every small pipe hole that they have, they're drilling in, putting a finite element mesh around it. They get to the top of the structure, they see a TV antenna sitting there. Well, while I'm here, let me model this antenna too. Let's see what the dynamics on that antenna does. So then they go do the analysis and the design, they go into, and they do a full-blown finite element, three-dimensional dynamic analysis. And they, of course, have attended one of my dynamics courses in which I've told them that, the first mode will give you 80% of the response. And they run the analysis, they go through all the numbers, and they've included one mode in the analyses, and they find out all the stresses are 0. Or very little. They've done some base shear, and they're getting like 25 pounds in the base shear of a 15-story building. And they're calling me up and they're like, I think my building does weigh a little more than 25 pounds. Well, at least they recognize that. That's a good sign. Believe me, there's some that don't. Well, what has happened is they've done a single mode analysis, but because they put this antenna at the top, the building is standing like this and the antenna is doing this. And that's where the 25 pounds is coming from. And you can see that that's a very extreme situation, but you can see that if you have certain mezzanine levels that you have modeled in the structure that have very little weight compared to the weight of a typical floor, and you start doing a eigenvalue analysis, you will find out that you will get a lot of these localized modes where just a small mezzanine in the structure is oscillating. Or if you model the piping system in there, the piping system, and the whole structure is still just stagnant, doing nothing. See, that's where the power of the Ritz analysis comes in. If you did not do an eigenvalue analysis, but instead you did a Ritz analysis to get your mode shapes and frequencies, you will find out that the Ritz analysis will capture first those modes that have got fundamentally a large portion of the participation of the structure. So all of those modes that are going to contribute to the base shear, if you did the Ritz analysis, you will get that first. And that's one of the things that you should really look into. You cut out a lot of the extraneous modes, and every time you do the Ritz analysis and you have the number of modes you've calculated, you will always get 100% of the base shear captured. So that's something that you should take a look at and compare it, do some comparative studies with eigenvalue analysis. It's very, very powerful when every time you have localized modes like that. Especially when you start doing structures, vertical vibration of floor systems. You have the power to do these things where you have this step analysis, for foot drop kind of stuff that you do. And for that, you can activate the Ritz analysis. But these are the kind of things that are all there at your fingertips. You've got it sitting in the software to be able to do that.